Hi guys and gals, it's Mike White with Xcart Guru, formerly Baby Monkey Studios, and I'm bringing you a tutorial today about working with images. Now we're working with images in Xcart, but this could be applied to any website image, any e-commerce site out there. You know, with e-commerce, usually you have three different size images. You'll have the thumbnail image, and that's the one that you're going to see on the category listings or anywhere where you see a smaller version of the product image. Then you'll have the product image, and that's what we're looking at here. This is the product page, and that's the full-size product image. Then you'll have a detailed image, and that's going to be when you blow it up and you can see, in full detail what the product looks like. Okay, so I picked this site and this application because I had a question about it, and this is a perfect example of what you don't want to do when you're dealing with your images. Here we can see by hovering over it, I used Chrome Inspect Element, that this image is naturally sized 1764 wide by 2352 high. But the Xcart is actually resizing it and only displaying 206 by 275. So there's a massive reduction that we can do by changing this, this image size. Okay, now you want to stay consistent. So we have the three types of images. We have thumbnails, product, and then detailed images. We want to pick sizes for all of those going into it. So, right from the get-go, before you get started, decide what kind of sizes you're going to be shooting for. In this case, I think I'm going to go with, something like, we'll use 275 as our maximum height, and we'll use 220 as our maximum width. I just pulled those out. I think that this particular site, the images look better when they're a little taller than they are wide, and that should give us plenty to work with. Okay, so we're going to first download this image, and then we'll start working with it in Photoshop. Okay, so we're just going to right-click and do Save Image As, and find a good place to stick that. Make a new folder for working with my images. I'll call it Product Images. You really can't be too organized when you're dealing with this stuff. I mean, you want to be as organized as you can imagine. So Whip Dream, and I'm going to call this Original so that I can see that this is my original in all its glory. Alright, and we'll save that. Alright, well, let's talk about that for a second and look at it. Okay, so as it stands, this image is actually even larger than this. It's 859 kilobytes. So it's huge. I mean, the download time for this image is going to be dramatically reduced once we have it sized it properly. And 859 kilobytes is quite a lot for such a simple image, too. It doesn't seem to be optimized at all. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to open it up with Photoshop. Alright, and I've been working with some other images. Let me close those out. And we're going to resize this. So before I resize anything in Photoshop, I usually make a backup layer. Now you can do this with a batch process if you have thousands of images. I think I've actually done a tutorial on that at one point or another. But I'm going to convert it to a smart object, because that's really kind of key when you're going to do any kind of resizing. So let's look at my image. Let's look at my canvas size. Now the canvas size that I want is going to be in pixels. This is not my normal computer, so I'm struggling a little bit with the settings. I usually have this set to be pixels automatically. We decided we were going to do a width of 220 and a height of 275. Okay, let's proceed. And you can see how small the dramatic difference there. Alright, now I'm going to just hit Control T. I'm holding down the Control key and hitting T. And I get this right here. Now whenever you resize an image, you could mess it up by doing just what I just did there. And it's getting all out of shape. It's not the right width and height anymore. You don't want to do that. So we will instead cancel out of that, and again hit Control T, and this time I'm going to hold Shift while I resize. And now you can see it constrains the width and height so that I'm not distorting the image. If I also hold Alt at the same time, it keeps it right in the center and makes it very easy to go down to exactly the size that I want. Alright, so that's close. Let's zoom in. This is the actual size of the image right here. And I just hit Control T again. I'm just adjusting its positioning. I think that's good. It's good to have a little bit of white space at the top and a little bit of white space at the bottom. And this white space on the sides can't be helped because this is my width and height that I'm going to stick with as my standard. Okay, so this is ready to go. Let's hit File, Save for Web and Devices. Okay, we got some settings to configure here. We're going to tell it that it's going to be a JPEG. You can play with JPEGs or you can play with PNGs. What ultimately matters the most is the size and the quality. Okay, so the quality being what your eye can see here as far as quality, whether it looks, crisp and clear to you, or if it's, fuzzy and pixelated. In this case, it's 5.28 K, so it's just a little bit over 5 kilobytes as a JPEG with quality set to 61, and it doesn't look bad to me. If I bump up the quality to 100, it goes all the way up to 18 kilobytes, and I really don't see that much improvement. I find mostly, I'm saving images between 70 and 60% quality. This time I'm going to go right in the middle there, 65. I get right around 5K. I can't see a massive problem with the image. I'm looking at this on a pretty large monitor, and the image looks fine. I'm going to take a second and test it as a ping. What if it was ping 24? Oh, then I'd be at 37K. Ping 24 is a lossless image, and sometimes if you have a very flat, like vector artwork, ping 24 actually will be a nice file size. Ping 8, that's a lossy format where it has a limited amount of colors. Again, it's 22 kilobytes here. JPEG is my best option for this since it's a photograph, and it's 5.79K. So I'm going to save that. And I'm going to name this Whipped Dream Product. It's now my product image. Okay. Oh, let me just make sure I saved that in the right place. Nope, wrong folder. Fix that real quick. Okay, so now we're going to produce the thumbnail. And so we're just going to make a decision here, kind of arbitrarily, that our thumbnail images are going to be, well, let's just kind of play with the image size real quick. Let's see, image size. What if we made our thumbnails 150 pixels wide? That'd be a height of 188. I'm just kind of looking for something that might be consistent with this. Okay, 140, height 175. That sounds good. That's a pretty nice size for a thumbnail. It's a large thumbnail. I mean, it could be a lot less and probably be just fine. So again, this is a smart object, so it's not losing any quality. Let me show that to you real quick. If I took this and I increased it to, say, 1,000 pixels, it still has the original quality that we had when we started. So, that's the advantage of a smart object. Okay, so once more, we're going to resize it down to 140. And hit OK. And now we have our thumbnail size. I'm going to save that for the web. All right. We'll save that. Again with the same settings. And I'm just going to call this Whipped Dream Thumbnail. Or just thumb. That's fine. Just something consistent that'll help you. And now I want to do a detailed image. So let's decide a size for our detailed images. I think that we'll stick with the same scale. I mean, sometimes, depending on what type of detailed images you might have, you might want to go for something that's wider. In most cases with the detailed images, it's a good idea to go wider than you do tall. But that depends on what type of pictures you're taking and what type of product you're displaying and what type of detailed images you have. The concept of it being wider than it is tall just means most screens are formatted that way, or at least most desktop screens are wider, and so if you get more real estate out of the screen with a wider image, most times I don't recommend either dimension, either width or height on a detailed image, to be greater than 800 pixels. I mean, yeah, people have bigger screens than 800 pixels. Yeah, maybe you want to show super high detail, but I mean, 800 pixels by 800 pixels is a pretty big image. So in this case, I'm just going to go 600 on the width. Okay, and there's my image. And it's a pretty big image. And we'll just save that. And we'll name it Detail. Okay. Okay, so we've taken care of one of the images. Now let's talk about how to work with others and keep things consistent. So I will save this. I'm going to save this as my template. So I'll call it product template. And maybe I might even make a note to myself. I think I did 140 as my smallest, 220 as my product, and I went 600 on my detail. So I'm just going to save that and kind of give myself some notes there. And you could note that anywhere else, obviously. I'm just shortcutting it for me. And here's another product. And this is a perfect site for me to do this tutorial on, because in every case we have these really big images. This one has done the opposite. You can tell the template is only going to allow 275 on either side. So on the other image it was 275 high. On this one it's 275 wide. So it's got a maximum setting in the template that's only going to allow a certain size. But it's going to make every picture look differently, because the sizes are not consistent of the images themselves. And you can handle this kind of thing with software, but there's never going to be a better way to handle it than in Photoshop. That's the right way to do it. Okay, so once again, we'll save our image as, and we'll call this one original, just like before. All right, and I'm just going to pull open the folder. There's many ways to get an image into Photoshop. I'm going to do the drag and drop method here. Just pull it over and drop it. And then hit enter. And it's already converted it to a smart object because of the way I did that. Okay, so I'm going to hide this other layer. Really, I'm just using my template for the format, for the width and height that I already have set. So, we have our 600, 750. Those are our dimensions for our large image. Okay, again, I'm going to hit Control T and just Shift and Alt and drag it out. I'm being conscious of the edges. I see the shadow. I want to leave a little bit of room on the sides, but I want to get as big an image as I can out of the room that I have. And then I'm going to center it. Yeah, I'm going to center it vertically as well here. Okay, I think that's good. And hit enter. Okay, so we have this problem of white space missing on the top and bottom. Now, if we just save this for web, it's going to add white space for you. If you needed to, you could just create a new layer, and you could drop white on that layer, and that would be fine. But we didn't have to do that step. We could actually have just gone ahead and saved for web. I'll show you that. And as long as we choose JPEG, it's going to insert the white for us. Okay, so now we have the same image dimensions on this image. And we'll go ahead and save this detailed image first. All right. We'll call this detail. I just clicked on the image to get the image name. Okay, and then we'll do image. I'll just do image size, and we'll change it. What's my dimension there? 220 on the width. Okay. File, save for web and devices. Save. I'm clicking back on the image so it sets the name for me. I'm going to call this product. And like I said, you can do a batch process. So if you're looking at this and thinking I have 1,000 images, and this would be terrible for you, you can definitely do a Photoshop batch process to do this for you. I've done that several times. All right, save that. And here is our thumb. Okay. All right. Now, I think I've shown you everything I wanted to show you in this tutorial, so we're just about wrapping it up. But I want to leave you with the this. So here's our original, 530 kilobytes. So that has to download, every time the product page is hit. And here's our end result, 16.3 kilobytes. So on that product page, it's going to look exactly the same because it was being resized. So it might even look better with the Photoshop resized image rather than the browser scaled image. And the difference is, 530 kilobytes versus 16 kilobytes. So this really makes a big difference. It also just helps your website look consistent and have all the product images the same size. Okay. Hey, it's Mike White signing off, wishing you the best of luck in all your e-commerce efforts. Till next time. Talk to you soon.